how you felt about some critics out there who are hearing you talk about fighter pay, hearing you talk about the sport, about the UFC, fighters like Khamzat Chimaev, who was on camera criticizing, saying that you're essentially biting the hand that fed you back in the day, that you're coming across as ungrateful for everything that they did for you. What is your response to those people?
From the opening moment, we dive headfirst into explosive controversy that goes far beyond your typical interview setup. This is a volatile situation ready to detonate at any second. The interviewer masterfully establishes the backdrop, channeling widespread criticism directed at Ronda Rousey, especially from UFC powerhouse Khamzat Chimaev. The accusations cut deep, painting her as disloyal and ungrateful, which strikes at the core of fighting culture where respect and loyalty reign supreme. This transcends simple contract disputes or payment arguments. We're witnessing a battle over loyalty, legacy, and the devastating perception of a legend turning against the very organization that created her empire. The atmosphere crackles with knife-edge tension as the accusation lands like a precision strike. How will the former champion, who built her reputation on unwavering strength, counter when her character faces such direct and public scrutiny? This represents more than criticism. It's an all-out assault from the sport's new generation. Heavy silence fills the space, thick with expectation as everyone anticipates the response. Chimaev, now a dominant UFC presence, has openly attacked Rousey, suggesting her recent fighter advocacy actually betrays the promotion that launched her to international fame and household recognition. This classic confrontation unfolds in real time, established legend versus emerging force, a high-stakes collision of philosophies. But perhaps the loyalty Chimaev demands differs fundamentally from what Ronda believes she owes? Maybe there's a crucial misunderstanding that could completely transform this narrative and reshape our entire perspective? Before addressing Khamzat directly, she must establish a critical foundation, defining her allegiances with absolute clarity and drawing unwavering lines in her personal code. This isn't merely responding to criticism, it's strategically dismantling the argument's very premise. The stage prepares for a masterclass in distinguishing personal gratitude from corporate duty, and this distinction proves essential, but will her words silence the wolf or intensify this burning rivalry? The truth grows increasingly complex.
Well, I would want to make something abundantly clear, and that's that I owe Dana and the Fertittas immensely. And I would be caught dead before you ever heard me say a bad thing about any of them.
Ronda launches her first verbal precision attack with devastating effectiveness. She refuses evasion or deflection, instead clarifying with absolute certainty. When she declares her intention to make something abundantly clear, that phrase commands immediate attention and demands everyone's focus. This isn't retreating from previous statements, it's completely redefining the situation. She unequivocally acknowledges her enormous debt and loyalty to Dana White and the Fertitta brothers, and this transcends mere crowd-pleasing or political correctness. It represents deeply personal, heartfelt recognition of individuals who believed in her vision and constructed women's MMA's initial platform when others refused. She would never consider speaking against them. That remains crystal clear. This segment radiates pure, undiluted respect for those who forged her legend and shaped her identity. It establishes the foundation, the calm preceding the approaching storm. Watch carefully, because her next words deliver the real explosive content. This initial statement proves crucial to her entire approach. It represents Ronda's method of declaring that her integrity and gratitude for her builders remain unquestionable. She draws a definitive boundary, separating personal relationships from the corporate entity the UFC has evolved into. It's a sophisticated maneuver, strategically neutralizing critics who might portray her as completely ungrateful or someone who abandoned her origins. By immediately acknowledging her obligation to Dana and the Fertittas, she immunizes herself against the most frequent attacks leveled at outspoken fighters. It also subtly previews the distinction that follows, setting up the next section perfectly. Can someone maintain loyalty to an empire's founders while rejecting the empire itself after ownership changes and transformation? This isn't semantic manipulation or clever wordplay. This forms the legal and moral foundation supporting her entire position. But the crucial question emerges whether this nuanced distinction will resonate with fans who often view the UFC as one unified entity. Will it appear as convenient justification for her stance? Most importantly, will Khamzat Chimaev, known for direct statements and straightforward attitudes, acknowledge such careful loyalty parsing? The stage receives meticulous preparation for her words' true target. The audience remains wondering, sitting anxiously, exactly who will face Ronda's unleashed fury. Anticipation builds to fever pitch intensity.
but my loyalty is to them and not the company they sold. And I do not owe TKO's UFC a damn thing. And fucking cleft.
The pivot arrives immediately with devastating force. The mic drop moment strikes with power when she declares her loyalty belongs to them, not the company they sold, and she owes TKO's UFC absolutely nothing. This transcends press statements. This represents legal and emotional severance, complete relationship cutting. She's disconnecting from the current corporate entity, TKO Group Holdings, which represents the UFC's post-sale version, the iteration existing after financial transactions occurred. The confrontation officially commences. Then, without missing any beat or showing hesitation, she delivers the first shocking personal attack nobody anticipated, calling him Thin Cleft Lip Lincoln. The name Cleft Lip Lincoln hangs in the atmosphere like smoke, a visceral, unexpected, and deeply personal strike at Khamzat Chimaev that penetrates to his core. This isn't simply responding to his criticism. This represents complete obliteration of the man who dared question her and call her ungrateful. The battle has begun, and she's unleashing everything. That distinction she established changes everything. It forms her position's entire foundation. It transforms Ronda's stance from potentially ungrateful to strategically principled, from someone attacking her history to someone simply rejecting obligation to its present form, especially after corporate sales that altered the organization's fundamental nature. This revolutionizes the entire dynamic, permitting her to speak freely without betraying her personal code or her supporters. It's rhetorical mastery, designed to reframe the debate on her terms and her territory. But let's address what everyone's truly considering. Cleft Lip Lincoln. The shockwave from that insult continues rippling through combat sports circles. It references Khamzat Chimaev's facial characteristic, a scar often attributed to cleft lip, which has become part of his public identity and appearance. Using it in such derisive playground taunt fashion represents extreme conflict escalation. This becomes deeply personal, instantly controversial, and absolutely viral content spreading rapidly. What kind of competitor would resort to such cutting, personal commentary? The original rowdy Ronda, the fighter who left devastated opponents and shattered expectations in her wake, has returned with absolute venom. But why this level of personal assault? What provoked such brutal verbal attack from the former champion who typically shows more restraint? Was it purely Chimaev's criticism, or something deeper and more personal? The answer lies in perceived disrespect, in a newer star's audacity trying to dictate terms to a legend and define her obligations.
UFC a damn thing. And fucking Cleft Lip Lincoln is just hating because at his press conference for his fight, people are asking about me and my fight because no one gives a shit about his ineffectual wrestle fests. And people are...
The assault intensifies dramatically, building insult upon insult in devastating combination. Ronda continues, dissecting Khamzat's motivation with surgical precision, explaining he's just hating because at his press conference for his fight, people ask about her and her fight since nobody cares about his ineffectual grappling sessions. This proves absolutely brutal beyond description. She's not merely insulting his appearance or personality. She's questioning his star power and ability to generate attention and interest. She's dismissing his entire fighting approach as ineffectual and boring, claiming he only gains media relevance because her name generates discussion and gets people talking. It represents a complete frontal assault on his professional identity, fan appeal, and entire fighting philosophy that built his career. The ineffectual grappling description directly targets Chimaev's wrestling-heavy, often dominant but sometimes less exciting performances that don't always produce spectacular finishes. This isn't casual fighting words thrown around carelessly. It's calculated demolition of a rival's complete persona, dismantling everything he's constructed. Ronda reminds everyone who truly commands attention in this sport and who represents the real star. The audacity proves breathtaking. Ronda Rousey, the trailblazer and icon who revolutionized women's MMA, just eviscerated Chimaev's entire career narrative with a few sentences. She implies his recent press conferences get overshadowed by discussions about her, stripping away his spotlight and stealing what should be his moment. This transcends clever comebacks or witty responses. It's a complete power play designed to establish dominance. By belittling his ineffectual wrestling approach, she's not only attacking his cage performance, but also indirectly suggesting that her fights, her legacy, and her combat approach prove inherently more entertaining and impactful to fans who matter. This represents the Ronda Rousey we remember from her prime, ruthless, unapologetic, and completely dominant in every aspect. But it's also high-risk strategy that could backfire. By attacking so personally and venomously, she risks alienating fans who might consider this excessive, but she also reinforces her image as someone who never retreats and never allows insults to slide. Is this just Ronda being Ronda, returning to her original persona? Or does this convey deeper messages about fight promotion's evolving nature and what truly captivates audiences in today's social media landscape? The digital world explodes with reactions right now, analyzing every word, every nuance, every implication of her statements. This no longer concerns just verbal warfare, it's a battle for sport relevance, and Ronda just landed a haymaker that will resonate for considerable time. What will Chimaev respond? The internet holds its breath, anticipating the next chapter.
Me and my fight, because no one gives a shit about his ineffectual wrestle fests, and people are actually, they can't stop talking about this fight because it's so stacked, and they're actually excited to see me fight because unlike Kumquat, I have 100% finish rate.
The attack on Chimaev's fighting style, specifically targeting ineffectual wrestling sessions, represents a surgical strike aimed directly at his foundation. Ronda isn't throwing casual shade for entertainment, she's undermining his entire combat approach in fans' eyes, making them question what they witness when he competes. Then she pivots brilliantly, contrasting his perceived dullness with excitement surrounding her upcoming ventures, explaining that people can't stop discussing this fight because it's incredibly stacked, and they're genuinely excited to watch her compete. Because unlike Kumquat, she maintains a perfect finishing record. The direct comparison proves absolutely humiliating for Chimaev. It's devastating. She calls him Kumquat, a derogatory name variation designed to stick in people's minds, then delivers the ultimate mic drop with her perfect finishing record that nobody can dispute. It's a brutal reminder of her own devastating effectiveness and ability to end fights spectacularly. This represents a metric Chimaev, despite all his dominance and winning record, cannot match, and that reality stings. Being called Kumquat represents one level of personal insult, but the statistical slap of the perfect finish rate proves entirely different. That's factual ammunition. Ronda isn't just boasting or inflating herself, she's weaponizing her unparalleled legacy, using it as ammunition. In a sport increasingly focused on finishes and excitement, on delivering fan value, this directly challenges Chimaev's audience appeal, implying that while he might win fights, he doesn't entertain with the same ferocity or finality she brought to competition. It's calculated strategy designed to diminish his public accomplishments while elevating her own, reminding everyone that she was, and perhaps remains, a force of nature in ending fights decisively and memorably. This transcends just Chimaev. It's about Ronda asserting her enduring star power and unique position in combat sports history, cementing her legacy. She's not merely defending her fighter pay stance, she's defending her legacy against a perceived upstart, attempting to diminish what she built. But will this direct, personal, and undeniably inflammatory language actually change minds in the debate? Or will it simply create more division in an already fractured fan base? Battle lines are drawn, not just between Ronda and Khamzat, but between old school respect and new school bravado, between different sport eras and their fans. They're absolutely consuming it, loving every second of this drama. What does this mean for both their career futures? A collision seems inevitable now, even if only in public opinion courts and social media warfare.
People are actually, they can't stop talking about this fight because it's so stacked, and they're actually excited to see me fight because unlike Kumquat, I have 100% finish rate.
Okay. Thank you for that, Ronda.
This segment represents Ronda's final and emphatic punctuation on her statement, the closing argument. She reiterates excitement around this fight, implying her own return or current ventures, contrasting it starkly with Chimaev's situation. Unlike Kumquat, she maintains perfect finishing statistics. It's the ultimate punchline, a direct hit to Chimaev's fighting style and public image that he cannot easily defend against. It's clear declaration of her dominance and entertainment value, reminding everyone what she brought to the sport. The interviewer responds quickly with appreciation, and background airplane noise serves as somewhat stunned, almost awkward acknowledgement of the mic drop moment that just occurred. Ronda has delivered her message, unfiltered, unapologetic, and undeniably rowdy in classic fashion. The message proves crystal clear. She's not just returning to the conversation, she's ready to verbally dismantle anyone who dares cross her path or question her legacy. The raw power of that final statement leaves no room for doubt or misinterpretation. Ronda Rousey remains a force requiring reckoning. She isn't just responding to criticism, she's dominating the narrative and controlling the conversation, just as she dominated opponents in the octagon during her fighting prime. Her perfect finish rate isn't merely a record book statistic, It's a philosophy, a brand, a violence promise that defined her entire career and made her a star. By contrasting it with Chimaev's ineffectual wrestling sessions, she's not only reclaiming her media spotlight, but also establishing a standard she believes he fails to meet, and she's declaring it publicly. This entire exchange has transcended simple debate about fighter pay or contract negotiations. It's become deeply personal conflict, fueled by perceived disrespect and ego clashes between generations. Ronda's strategic use of specific cutting insults, combined with her powerful distinction between people and corporate loyalty, showcases master communication skills and narrative control expertise. But what are the long-term implications of such public, brutal takedown of another fighter? Will this ignite new rivalry that could lead to actual competition? Perhaps even demand for unlikely cross-promotional super fight that fans would pay anything to witness? Or will it solidify Ronda's reputation as fearless truth-teller, someone unwilling to let perceived slights go unanswered? One thing remains certain beyond doubt: the combat sports world just became significantly more interesting and unpredictable. And Ronda Rousey, even years after her last professional fight, still holds power to shake foundations and command attention.
And I do not owe TKO's UFC a damn thing. And fucking Cleft Lip Lincoln is just hating because at his press conference for his fight, people asking about me and my fight because no one gives a shit about his ineffectual wrestle.
This segment precisely highlights Ronda's argument core against new UFC ownership and her immediate direct attack on Chimaev. She owes TKO's UFC absolutely nothing. This isn't just casual commentary she's offering. It's independence declaration, refusal to be bound by new corporate era terms she had no part in creating. Then she twists the knife deeper, reinforcing the cleft lip Lincoln jab, immediately connecting it to Chimaev's perceived jealousy. Finn Cleft Lip Lincoln is just hating because at his press conference for his fight, people ask about her and her fight because nobody cares about his ineffectual wrestling sessions. It's relentless focused barrage, clearly demonstrating her belief that Chimaev's critique stems from his own insecurity and lack of promotional drawing power. This isn't momentary anger or frustration, it's calculated dismantling of his public image, breaking him down systematically. The sheer force of Ronda's words in this clip proves undeniable and impossible to ignore. She's not just pushing back against criticism, she's actively controlling the narrative, steering the conversation, positioning herself as a fighter owing nothing to a corporation she wasn't part of during its foundational years when circumstances were different. This distinction proves absolutely crucial for understanding her fighter rights advocacy and why she feels justified speaking out. It allows her to critique the current system without betraying her past or her supporters without becoming hypocritical. It's powerful messaging for any athlete navigating professional sports' complex world where brand loyalty often conflicts with personal convictions and beliefs about right and wrong. But let's be realistic. Let's discuss what's actually grabbing headlines. The headline grabber is raw, unedited venom directed at Khamzat, the personal attacks. This isn't polite disagreement between professionals. This is verbal street fighting, a complete brawl. Is this level of personal attack justified by his comments? Or does it cross lines that shouldn't be crossed? And what does it reveal about current rivalry states in UFC and combat sports generally? The internet already blazes with fans and pundits weighing in on every single word she uttered, every insult. This no longer concerns just Ronda versus Khamzat. It's bigger than that. It's about sports commentary's evolving landscape, where even retired legends can still ignite massive controversy and influence conversations. What will be the fallout from such scathing public dressing down of an active fighter? The drama is just beginning to unfold, and everyone watches to see what happens next.
And fucking Cleft Lip Lincoln is just hating because at his press conference for his fight, people asking about me and my fight because no one gives a shit about his ineffectual wrestle fests. And people are actually, they can't stop talking about this.
This segment focuses on the sheer contempt Ronda holds for Khamzat's criticism and the specific claim that his own press conferences get hijacked by questions about her. Lincoln is just hating because at his press conference for his fight, people ask about her and her fight because nobody cares about his ineffectual wrestling sessions. And people actually can't stop talking about this fight because it's so stacked. It's surgical strike at Chimaev's ego and star power, hitting him where it hurts most. She's not just calling him a hater or critic, she's saying his entire career and fight buildups are secondary to her ongoing sport presence. The implication proves clear and devastating. He's a sideshow, a distraction, while she remains the main event, even from distance, even in semi-retirement. This isn't about his fighting ability or cage skills. It's about his perceived irrelevance compared to her own enduring magnetism and star power that transcends wins and losses. The sheer arrogance and unbridled confidence in the statement is vintage Ronda Rousey, the attitude that made her famous. She's essentially telling Khamzat and anyone listening that he lives in her shadow and will never escape it. It's cutting blow to any fighter's pride to be told their own events merely serve as platforms to discuss someone else, that they're not the story. This isn't casual insult thrown carelessly. It's strategic maneuver designed to diminish Chimaev's status and assert her own enduring sport influence. She's daring him to deny it, daring him to prove her wrong through his actions. This also highlights broader truth in combat sports that often gets overlooked. Star power frequently transcends mere record wins and losses. Ronda, even in semi-retirement, clearly believes her name still carries more weight and cultural resonance than a rising active contender on a winning streak. But is she correct about that? The ineffectual wrestling comment, again, directly challenges his fighting philosophy and entertainment value, what he brings to the table. This no longer concerns just Dana White loyalty, it's evolved into something bigger. It's narrative fighting, a battle over who truly matters in the UFC's ever-evolving landscape. Who holds true power in this dynamic between fighters and fans? Ronda just staked her claim with venomous declaration that nobody can ignore. The tension is palpable, you can feel it. The stage is set for epic response from Chimaev. If he dares fire back, this is pure unadulterated drama that the sport thrives on.
And people are actually, they can't stop talking about this fight because it's so stacked, and they're actually excited to see me fight because unlike Kumquat, I have 100% finish rate.
Okay. Thank you for that, Ronda.
In this powerful segment, Ronda amplifies the contrast between her perceived popularity and Chimaev's, explaining that people actually can't stop talking about this fight because it's so stacked and they're genuinely excited to see her fight. Because unlike Kumquat, she has perfect finishing statistics. The interviewer's quick appreciation and mention of waiting for a plane to land shows her words' sheer impact and shock value. She's not just dismissing Chimaev, she's highlighting her own drawing power and ability to generate genuine excitement in ways he apparently cannot. The unlike Kumquat serves as direct, demeaning comparison, leading to the ultimate boast about her perfect finishing record that nobody can dispute. The raw, unfiltered confidence returns, reminding everyone that she was, and perhaps still is in her mind, the ultimate spectacle in combat sports. The interviewer's slightly abrupt appreciation shows the sheer impact of her words and their shock value. This isn't subtle criticism requiring thought, it's full-on celebratory dance on Khamzat Chimaev's perceived weaknesses. Ronda frames her current or potential fights as stacked, implying anticipation level and quality she believes Chimaev simply cannot generate with his matchups. The repetition of people being actually excited to see her fight isn't just factual statement, it's challenge to Chimaev. A dare for him to claim the same level of genuine fan engagement and enthusiasm. But the real dagger, the definitive statement encapsulating her entire argument, is the perfect finishing rate remark. Its powerful career summary, a testament to her unyielding dominance and thrilling performances that people remember. This isn't just about winning fights on scoreboards, it's about how you win, the spectacle you create, and Ronda believes her method was undeniably superior to what we see today. It's mic drop moment that reverberates far beyond this interview's confines and will be quoted for years. It asks crucial question that fans and fighters must grapple with. In the fight game, is it just about being undefeated, or also about the unforgettable spectacle you deliver to the audience? Ronda's answer unequivocally sides with the latter, and she's not shy about reminding everyone of her own unparalleled legacy in that regard. The gauntlet has been thrown, the challenge issued publicly. How will the Wolf respond to being called Kumquat with an ineffectual style? The world awaits his answer.